up, everybody? It's your girl, Kendall T. Johnson, better known as Kendall the Master Stylist, your host. Today, I am so excited about this new season in my life. I'm actually starting a podcast. When I thought about this opportunity and when it presented itself to me, I was like, wow, it's like a full circle moment. I remember trying to do this in my own living room over 12, 13 years ago. We have the little segments on YouTube for you to refer back to. So this is not something that I just conjured up. This is actually a full circle moment. So I'm just excited to sit here with my very first guest, which is a very, very important, special person. And I'm excited to bring him on. He's been in the industry, the barber beauty industry, for a very long time. He is one of the wisest persons that I know, super respected in his community and around the globe. So I'm excited to bring to some of you, introduce to others, Mr. Marlon Evans.
Hello. It's good to be here.
So Marlon, first things first, where are you from?
I'm from Texarkana, Arkansas. Born and raised. That's where I'm from. I live Texarkana on the Texas side. It's a twin city, but I live on the Texas side. But I'm born and raised Texarkana, Arkansas. Excuse me.
Okay, so what do you do and how long have you been doing it?
Well, I've been a barber, a professional barber for 27 years, over 27 years. Um, just kind of going back, I didn't know what I was going to do in life at the time. It's kind of fishing around with what was my next move, and ran into a guy that I vaguely knew, and he started talking about going to barber school, and I was already cutting some of my partner's hair around a little bit, and I was like, I could do that. So we exchanged phone numbers, and it's history now.
Wow. So of course I've been knowing you for a very long time and you're super talented. And I want to get into the talent a little later in the conversation. But when you say you just kind of, just cutting your homeboy's hair in the city, who where did the talent come from? Is it just something you could just kind of picked up on? Was it passed down generations through generations? Like, how did you get so good at it?
That's a good question. My answer to that is my dad, first of all, was a barber for a short time. He never really showed me anything that had to do with barbering,
Got
but
it.
he gave me some clippers. And I remember hearing a story about Tiger Woods' dad giving him a golf club, and that helped him take off in his situation. So I think that's where some of mine comes from. But just to be straight up about it, it's obviously a God given talent because I knew how to cut hair without any instruction. You know what I'm saying? To some degree.
Right.
So obviously God given talent. I think it was meant for me to do. Obviously, because I'm 27 years deep now.
Right. Wow. So 27 years deep. That's interesting because, and we're going to get a little into that a little later as well, because you've been able to stay relevant throughout the 27 years before social media was a social media, before, all this branding and all this, marketing was a thing. You've still been able to stay afloat, like super busy.
Yeah.
Never had an issue with building clientele. Like, you've been able to stay popular, relevant, even in a time where social media is now taking over, but you're not really on social media like that. Not as a brand or, an influencer. You're just pretty much on there for entertainment. So how have you been able to stay relevant for these 27 years and not be on social media?
I think that's the question a lot of the younger guys from where I'm from ask that same question about me in particular, because I started in the business when it wasn't a such thing as social media. I started in 1998 as a professional barber. I went to barber school in '97.
Yeah.
So I don't even believe I ever did the MySpace thing.
Wow.
But anyway, number one about this business is that it's a business.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of people that can cut hair very well,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know how to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more than one side of it. You can't just be a person that cuts hair very well and not run a good business and be relevant 27 years later.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna fly by night. You know what I'm saying? Somebody sent me a video earlier talking about how the younger barbers are. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because they are that way, charging these big numbers and running a terrible business.
Right. Right.
So I can contest to being on time, consistent.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal in this business.
Yeah. And it goes back to something I learned a long time ago from one of my mentors in the industry, that talent alone is not enough.
It's not enough.
You know, I know a lot of talented stylists. I know a lot of talented barbers, but they're not really successful when it comes to the business side of it. So, you know, what advice could you give an up and coming barber who may be young, or, you know, you got some barbers that's in school now, they may be in their 30s, you know, they may be in their early 40s and they just getting started. You know, what is some advice that you could possibly give them that could kind of keep them, you know, 20, 30 years from now, they can still be in business?
Well, the money's going to come to you if you're consistent about what you do when it comes to being on time and the product you put out, meaning the haircuts, the quality of haircuts, the way you treat your people, all of those things. I do things what I call PR. You know, you have to, somebody, you know, might say, hey, man, I'm having a barbecue at my house and I wish you would stop by. Sometimes you have to do that. You have to show your face and be personable with these people. You know, it's not just about $1 all the time.
Right.
So you got to really show these people you care about them and them patronizing your business and all of those things. But the main thing is just being consistent. You have to be consistent. You can't be consistently late because you're not going to stay in business. But you have to be consistent on the good parts.
Mm-hmm. So where you are now, because of course I've been knowing you almost 20 years. Right. And so, of course, where you were when I first met you is completely different now, right? You were in an open floor barbershop, you know, the old school cats coming in with the newspaper, like they would have a newspaper, like it was almost like a movie, right?
It was a movie.
And so you're not there anymore. You've kind of transitioned into more of your own suite per se. Mm-hmm. What would you say the difference between those days versus today within your business?
Well, I was so set in my way, first of all. 22 years of my 27 years, I was working in an open floor barbershop, just doing walk-ins only. I don't see how I pulled that off at this point, because I've been doing appointments now, strictly appointments only for 5 years, over 5 years.
Since COVID, right?
Since COVID. COVID it actually forced me that direction. Now, I had ideas of doing it before that and just would never implement it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would never push the button on doing that. So, because I was so set in my way. But now I don't see how I did it, how I pulled it off without have some kind of structure.
Right.
But any young barber, I'm not going to just, obviously you have to get some clientele to be able to set appointments and survive that way. So sometimes you have to do what you got to do walk-ins. You know what I'm saying? You should check out the area of what type of barbershop you may want to go to and what type of shop it is. If I don't recommend you to go to a shop if it's predominantly appointment ran by the people inside.
Got it.
You should go somewhere where they doing appointments only.
Right.
So therefore you can get the influx of potential customers to come through. So you can't become in my position from day one.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's a journey to that.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's a journey for sure.
Okay. So with that being said, let's get into the talent. So when it comes to shortcuts, color, finger waves, pixies, I'm that girl.
You that girl.
Right?
Right.
But within the barber side of things, I'm seeing a lot of, acrobats. I'm seeing a lot of, enhancements with the sprays and the color. And now we got man weaves, we got man wigs, and, we got a lot going on, right?
Right.
But you're not that type of barber. You're more of a classic barber when it comes to the traditional classic cut. Now, just from what I've been able to witness, throughout my almost 20 years of knowing you, the way you cut, it almost looks like they have an enhancement, but they don't. So I don't know if we can get into the technical side, probably not, but you're one of the most talented barbers when it comes to just straight clipper cut and just that classic look. Like, can you give us a little inside look on, like, what is that about? Why didn't you get into the trend? Why did you just decide to say, no, I'm a classic barber. I don't do all the sprays. I don't do none of that, the fibers, none of the acrobats.
Right.
How did you not get caught up in that trend and still stay relevant in today's time?
I think what happens in a situation like that is that if the client, that's what they're into, they're gonna shop for that type of barber. That's just my opinion. But I don't know. First of all, if I give you a haircut, I want it to be a haircut. I don't want you to wash it off in the sink when you go home. You know what I'm saying? Like, but listen, I'm not knocking anybody that's into that.
Right.
First of all, when I came into business, like, these guys have an upper hand on me as far as they have all these filters and all these things that they can make themselves look a certain kind of way online. I didn't have that position. I had to be able to produce a product because I came in a game when there was no such thing as internet, no such thing as paint and sprays and all those things. So I just stuck with the way I built myself, and that's just where I am today.
Got it. So, wrapping this thing up, you already talked about a little bit about your talent. You talked about consistency, being on time, all that good stuff. In my opinion, too, you said something about being more personable, because the Pretty Powerful podcast is about the industry, the beauty and barber industry, but merging it with more the inner awareness, your spiritual awareness, knowing who you are, right? And staying true to who you are.
Right.
When we first met, I was searching, you know what I'm saying? But throughout all the years that I've been knowing you, you've been super solid. Like, you've been very consistent. You've always had your own mind. Even when I try to sway you, hey, go this way. You always kind of stuck to who you were true to, right? And that was yourself. So merging, beauty and spiritual awareness together and just understanding who you are and staying true to that. Like, how did you get into that? Like, how did you, because I'm sure you had some growing to do along the way. So when it comes to just knowing who you are and staying true to that, like, how do you not waver in that when it comes to even being in business? Because I believe that's why a lot of men, and not just regular men, like you, service some very, very prominent men in that community.
Right.
And they're prominent, but they highly respect you. And that's impressive to me. So how did you become like that?
I don't know. It's a process. When you've been in the game long as I have, you've dealt with all individuals from every walk of life, whether it be a so-called pimp, so-called preacher, player, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And everything in between I've dealt with. So one thing about it, I'm going to be who I am, straight up and down, you know what I'm saying? That's just, I'm not fake at all. So
right.
You'd be surprised, a lot of the preachers are they'll open up to you when you're real, no matter if you might be a cussing person. You know what I'm saying? But they can respect you being who you are, unless they fake themselves.
Right.
Because a lot of them probably do the same thing. They just try to cover it or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother deal. But just being who I am, it's just where I come from and who I am. That's just it. I can't fake and shake. If you don't like my personality or who I am, find somebody else.
Right.
But I'm a very respectful person, even if I may say something out of bounds that is out of bounds to this different individual. But I'm still a respectful person, in my opinion.
Got it. So even with that being said, like, I highly respect you. And I've been able to watch you from afar and up close for a very, very long time. And that's one of the things that I admire about you. Like, you just who you are. Right. You know what I'm saying? You're a man of integrity. You're a man of valor. You a lot of men look up to you, and they confide in you, and it can be men of high stature, but they'll come to you and ask for advice, or they'll come to you. Like I said at the beginning, you're very wise. You're one of the most wisest people that I know.
Oh, cut it out.
And so just being that way, you've been able to like really gain the respect of a lot of people.
Right.
I saw you in Dallas. I saw you in Little Rock. I saw you in Florida. People know you everywhere. And that says a lot about who you are at the core of who you are. And so, if you could look into the camera and just add value, whether it be a woman, man, boy, girl, in the industry, out of the industry, what is something that you could really leave this audience with that has more value, not even with business, but just being self? What could you leave them with?
That's a pretty deep question. What I can leave them with is that you're not going to figure it out overnight. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have ups and downs, but you just got to pick yourself up. You got to dust yourself off, because, people you love is going to leave here before you. But you can't stop there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes business is not going to work out the time period you wanted to work it out. But you got to keep going.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to this point 27 years before this. It took me time to figure out how to handle money that was coming fast in the barber business, faster than I've ever made any money at any job or whatever.
Yeah.
So they don't teach you that in school. They just throw you out in the ocean and let you figure it out.
Right.
So
even with that, because I watched you. You go back a little bit. I watched you with this little clicker. Do you still do that? You still got that?
I don't have to do it now because I have appointment book. But
you still have this little clicker, like this little number. What was it?
It counts. You click it.
So for every
head I cut.
Head that you would cut sometimes how many heads a week?
Oh, a week? 100 heads a week.
100 heads.
Yeah.
And every time you would
it was okay, this is the thing. We were charging a certain amount of money at one time, but we went up and it was like a couple of dollars more. So I said, I'm going to save the $2 every head that I cut just to see how much of a raise that I got for the year. Because I was doing okay with the amount we were charging. So I said, well, I'll just save the new amount, a portion of it.
The $2 of the
$2
amount.
of the raise that we got.
Gotcha.
And just to show you how powerful numbers are. And I saved, and the way I saved it was, if I cut 20 heads that day, that's $40. But I would put it somewhere else, separate it, so you can see the amount you've saved. So at the end of the year, it was over $7,000.
Off $2.
Off $2. You know what I'm saying? So I start calling it $2 money. That's what I call it. So that's another thing to younger barbers. You have to start somewhere. You can start small. You can say, I'm going to save $5 a day when you're making $300-$400 in the shop. And you'll be surprised just off of that, what you would generate after a period of time. But I mean, hopefully you do more than $5, but I'm just making a point.
Yeah.
That I was doing $2 of every head I cut, and I saved it for a whole year. It was over $7,000.
For that first year.
Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive, because what that lets me know too, consistency is power in being consistent.
Yeah.
And the average person wouldn't even be consistent with $2.
No, they wouldn't.
So that alone just speaks volumes as to your consistency, just your straight and narrow, just this is what it's going to be and this is what it is.
Right.
And that was even inspiring to me. I think I started back in the day and then I probably quit, but that was inspiring to me to see that.
But when I say something like that, you're going to have bumps in the road.
Yeah.
You may have to spend the money.
Yeah.
But go back to it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that I may not have needed the money.
Yeah.
But you just got to stay consistent, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm knowing you. I know nobody really taught you financial literacy.
No.
Nobody really taught you about credit.
No.
And even in that area of your life, you still are able to teach me some things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what would you say, like, how did you not just, because we make money quick.
Right.
I like to talk about it as it's a drug dealer mentality, because we making money so fast every day and it's so easy to spend out because you already know you're going to make it right back.
That's right.
It's spend a check and make it right back, that. So even with that, how did you get to where you are even mentally when it comes to your relationship with money?
Man, I really look at it like sometimes I think about where would I be in life if I didn't choose being a barber. I don't know if I would be as far along as I am now, because the reason I say that is because I've had so many different people in my chair that I've learned from everybody. No matter if you're from the gutter or the penthouse or wherever, I've learned a whole lot in life because I've had so much contact with different individuals, people talking about credit, people talking about investments and this and that. And, I'm going to listen. I'm a very good listener.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I may not respond to everything somebody comes at me with, but I'm paying attention.
Got it.
So I think that really helped me along the way.
Got it. So this was really, really good. Hopefully I can have you back in the near future. This is really good. And so if someone wanted to, contact you, or it could be an up-and-coming barber that maybe just needed a little guidance, how could one find you? How could they reach you? You do have a social media.
Right.
However, you don't use it for business purposes, but how can someone reach out to you for maybe future speaking engagements or, some mentorship work?
Well, I am on social media. I'm on Instagram at Mr. Marlin73 at Yahoo. My Facebook is, I think, the same thing. I'm not big on social media, but I'm sure they could reach out and grab me on Instagram.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed having a conversation with you.
Thanks for having me.
We'll have you back. All right, y'all. Stay tuned for the next guest. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.